Here we go then for the final race of the weekend for the Locost. On board with Richard Bradley for the start. He starts from 5th on the grid. And away we go then. It's not the greatest start from 2nd on the grid. Sean Stafford Atkinson drops behind the 2nd row. A really good start was from Lee McNamara. He goes 2nd as a head to Redgate. Stuart Sellers squeezes up on the inside of Sean Stafford Atkinson. Richard Bradley follows him through. So Bradley will go up to 5th. It's Alistair Garrett though that leads the way as they head down the Crane Curds from Lee McNamara. 3rd is Sellers, and 4th even is Richard Bradley. So they head down towards the Old Hairpin for the first time of the 13 minutes plus 1 lap race. We can now ride aboard with Steve Wells. He's following what looks like James McAllister. Stephen Wells started 12th. McAllister started 8th. In front, Nick Selby. He started 6th. Max Lee's just running out a bit wide, and he's going to possibly drop back a place or two. He started 7th, so I reckon we're hitting a good start from Stephen Wells as he's crashing with people who are starting further up the grid. Right, Leeds is going to lose out here, I reckon. Yes, and now Wells is alongside him, trying to get alongside McAllister, but I couldn't do it. Instead, McAllister going around the outside on the inside of Nick Selby as they head down to the cave. The two guys are almost banging wheels there as they get onto the brakes. In front though, there goes James McAllister as they turn into the chicane to complete the first lap of the race, and then it is Stuart Sellers that's gone to the front. 2nd McNamara, 3rd is Bradley, 4th is Sean Stafford Atkinson, then in 5th is McAllister, 6th is Selby, 7th is Wells, 8th is Leeds, 9th is Pickles, and the 10th is Millman as Max Leeds back on the inside of Wells and gets the car all sideways through Redgate corner there. Then behind Wells there's a big gap, so that's the gap back to Vicky Pickles, James McAllister and the rest of them battling further down the pack. Right down, we've lost Alistair Garrett therefore. Did he not actually start from pole position? Then no, he's a non-starter. Alistair Garrett from pole, a non-starter. Lee McNamara is going to lose the lead here because Richard Bradley comes up on the inside heading to McLean's. So Bradley leads then for the first time in this race. But let's have a look what happened. Lap 1 head down chicane side by side between Sellers and McNamara, who had the advantage later on the race for Sellers, and he took the lead there into the chicane for the first time. The first of many dress rehearsals I'm sure that we're seeing before going into the last lap. Then McNamara fought back, heading down to Redgate round the outside. He took the lead back, and Sellers also lost out to Richard Bradley heading into Redgate. Then Bradley tried to get up on the inside McNamara, had away to McLean's till he took the race lead. Right, they head down to the chicane then. Bradley leads still. So get onto the brakes. Are we seeing anyone come from the upside? Yes we are. That's Stuart Sellers goes to the front this time then. And they now head down to complete this lap. It is Sellers, then from Bradley. McAllister has gone 3rd. McNamara is 4th. 5th is Selby. 6th is Leeds. 7th is Wells. And 8th is Stafford Atkinson. So that's our 8-car scrap for the lead. I'm sure we'll be watching them throughout this race. Nose to tail then, still for the lead between Sellers and Bradley. Nothing separating them. Stuart Sellers fighting for the championship. Him and Mike Coomer with about 40 points to drop each, which brings Alex Monaheim into the title fight. It seems to be them three that will be fighting for the championship, that seems, at this point of the season. After the first 8 rounds. Right, back and forth with Wells. He follows Stafford Atkinson. He's at the back of the 8-car train for the lead. We head up to McLean's. Can he do anything about Stafford Atkinson this time? It appears not. The two of them are starting to fall away from the top 6, then to have to start working together. Heading down the back straight. Bradley had dropped to 4th. He goes back to 2nd though as they head into the chicane. Hits the curbs, getting away at the front. It's Stuart Sellers that leads. 2nd Bradley, 3rd McNamara, 4th is Selby, 5th is McAllister, then Lees, Stafford Atkinson and Wells. Bradley's going to be passed on both sides into Redgate easy. Well, he can't fight off Selby, but he does manage to fight off McNamara, I think it was, trying to come around the outside. So onto the Craners for yet another time in this race. Trying to break away, Stuart Sellers at the front. When he crossed the line, he had a 1.2 second lead. So they're going to have to stop fighting over second and try and close in on Stuart Sellers if they want to win this one. That's exactly what they're doing in the slipstream. They're close. Stuart Sellers in. Nick Selby gets there. He's sideways through McLean's. He managed to hold it all together. He was almost onto the tail of the race leader and then almost losing the car through McLean's. But now they head through Coppice and now down onto the back straight. Look at the dark clouds above. I wonder if we're going to get any rain before the end of this one. Hopefully not, because local racing always better in the dry. Nick Selby closing on the lead. He goes up on the inside. Richard Bradley tries to make it free. I can't do it instead. Just settled for going past Stuart Sellers. Stuart Sellers had a massive lead up this time last lap. He has now dropped to third. So it is Selby from Bradley, from then Sellers, then McNamara, McAllister, Lees, David Atkinson and Wells. The top 8 separated by 2.2 seconds. Bradley goes back to the front into Redgate though. So Richard Bradley, our new race leader once again. Wells fights around the outside of Stafford Atkinson heading into Redgate. You can see the 7 cars in front and a big moment for James McAllister. He spins to the inside of the circuit and that is him out of the 8-car scrap, which now becomes 7. Looked like there was a touch of contact between him and either McNamara or Lees. I wasn't quite sure which one it was. But either way, the end result is McAllister spun to the inside of the circuit. And we believe he's rejoined down in something like 15th. So, just in front of Wells is Stafford Atkinson. I think just in front, exactly in front, because I think they made contact afterwards. Now Stafford Atkinson goes up to 5th on the inside of Max Lee, but Max Lee's right around the outside. Now Stephen Wells goes around the outside of Stafford Atkinson. She drops down to 7th as we head onto the back straight and come back towards us once again. So Wells in the street, bump drafting Max Lee's down the straight and trying to close in the top 4, who's starting to get away. Wells looks up on the inside of Max Lee's. He goes through past Max Lee's up to 4th then, but it's still Sellers, I think, that leads. I should say Wells goes up to 5th even. So they cross the line. I think could well be Selby trying to come round the outside of Bradley. Bradley was leading then. Selby comes round the outside. Sellers goes up on the inside. Stuart Sellers and Selby now are side by side out of Redgate. Selby runs out of road, so that should give Sellers the lead. Now Bradley trying to come past Nick Selby. And he's going to come round the outside through the Craners. He's got that done already. Lee McNamara there in 4th. Nick Selby trying to fight back past Richard Bradley into the old hairpin. Can't do it. As they turn through the corner there. Now head up towards McLean's. Lee McNamara trying to find a way past Nick Selby now round the outside, which then will give him the inside line as they head up in towards McLean's, and that should get him through, but it doesn't. Nick Selby continues to fight round the outside as they now head down towards Coppice. Richard Bradley then just behind Stuart Sellers as we come back towards the chicane. Not long to go now. Richard Bradley goes back to the lead though. And coming through though, so he didn't lead for long. It's Selby that goes back into the lead. So Nick Selby will lead when they complete this lap. Lap 7. So Selby leads from Bradley, then Sellers, McNamara, Stafford Atkinson, Wells and Lees. But Bradley wastes no time to go back to the front. He leads as they head down towards Redgate. They've got traffic. We believe that to be the car of Gregory Smith. They got through, but those Stuart Sellers, he leads then as they head onto the Craners. has John Stafford Atkinson run off the road in front of him. So he tries to make his way around the outside of her, but then if he continued to stay round the outside here, that would give him the inside for McLean's. But Stafford Atkinson later on the brakes, she stays in front, right behind Max Lees, right behind Steve Wells, but couldn't find a way through so far. Back to the leader. Stuart Sellers leads from Richard Bradley as they head down towards the chicane, and Bradley goes back to the front. We believe there to be 2 laps to go at the end of this. Through the middle of McNamara, and Stafford Atkinson went Wells there. He's now right behind Sellers, who's dropped to 3rd, up to 2nd. Has gone Nick Selby. Richard Bradley leads then. 2 laps to go. Round the outside of Sellers comes Wells. Up on the inside of Bradley goes Selby. So Nick Selby leads. 2nd is Bradley. 3rd is Sellers. 4th is Wells. Through Hollywood. Down through the Craner curves now. Who's going to be next to make up a place? Nobody into the old hairpin. Stuart Sellers defending his place while attacking, and past another of the slower cars. That was Stephen Wright they just lapped. Round the outside of Sellers, tries Wells, can't get that one done either. Up towards Coppice. On board with Bradley. 1 to go at the end of this, as the time has run out now. Can Richard Bradley find a way past Nick Selby then? Here he comes up on the inside of Nick Selby to go back to the lead. So Richard Bradley, for yet another time in this race, leads the way. Meanwhile, trying around the outside into the chicane comes Steve Wells. He's going to run out a bit wide, as does Nick Selby in front of him. Here comes Lee McNamara, and how close are they there? Dragging wheels, but they just about get away with it. So on to the last lap. It is Bradley from Sellers, from Selby, from McNamara, from Wells, from Stafford Atkinson, from Lees. That's your top 7. Probably safe to say anyone that could win of them. Any of that 7 could win. Lees goes up through on the inside to get up to 6th. Onto the Craner curves. In the battle for 8th, it's Jason Gibbons leading James Millman, and then James McAllister's 40 up to 10th after his spin. Richard Bradley then runs in 2nd. He's a bit of a gap that the leader's got. That's Nick Selby, but that gap comes down almost. Selby looks like he's in 2nd. Leader is Sellers, we think. So Sellers leads from Selby, from Bradley. Stuart Sellers got a big enough of a lead here as they head onto the back straight for the final time then. Richard Bradley has a very good slipstream off Nick Selby. He moves up on the inside. He's got 2 wheels on the grass there, and Richard Bradley has to back out of that. Nick Selby goes around the outside of the leader. Stuart Sellers to take the race lead. So Stuart Sellers leads, but he looks up and goes into the gravel trap at the chicane there. Steve Wells should probably find a way through him as well, yes. There's the race win then from Stuart Sellers. 2nd Richard Bradley. 3rd Lee McNamara. 4th to Stephen Wells, who looks very pleased with his 2nd best result of the year. 5th was Sean Stafford Atkinson. 6th was Max Lees, and down to 7th after his trip through the gravel was Nick Selby. James McAllister worked his way up to 8th for beating James Millman and Jason Gibbons. That was the top 10 then, but a half a second win from Stuart Sellers. And this is how the championship looks without drop scores taken into account. So Mike Coomer leading by 8 points to Stuart Sellers. They've both got to drop roughly 40 points, bringing Alex von Erheim into the championship hunt.